You know you need to connect with your dormant ties, but you're still not able to do it. I'm Greg, I'm the Introverted Networker, and today I'm going to give you a tip to get you past the obstacle of reaching out to your old connections who you've kind of lost touch with so that you can rekindle them and jumpstart your networking. And the best thing about this is all backed up by science and research. I came across this study last week, and I actually saw it on a LinkedIn posting from Daniel Pink, who's an author who writes about all kinds of psychology and human behavior. And he shared this study that was published on nature.com by a couple of researchers who found that people know they need to reach out to their old friends. They're asked whether they think it's important, and people say, yes, I need to reach out to old friends. I know who I need to reach out, but 1 in 3 people still couldn't get themselves to reach out to old friends, even when they knew it was going to be beneficial for their well-being. So having friends and dealing with loneliness is one of the key factors in living a long, healthy, fulfilling life. People who have social connections and friends, they live longer, they live better. And yet, as adults in this day and age, we have lost touch with our social circles. We don't connect with people the way we used to. And I think technology has a lot to do with this because we've sort of outsourced our friend updates to technology, meaning people post on social media and they say, here's what's going on with me. And we read that and we say, oh, I know what's going on with Greg because he posted about it on his Instagram or his Facebook or his LinkedIn. So I already know what Greg's doing. But the reality is we don't know what's going on with Greg. We don't really know because we're just taking whatever Greg posts and we're saying things look good. And ask yourself, how many people do you know that post stuff all the time about how great their life is and what they've been doing and living my best life. And then like a few months later, you hear they're getting divorced or they had a huge life crisis going on, something you didn't even know about because they put it on social media. So we've outsourced actually knowing about our friends and keeping up with our friends to technology. And we've stopped having conversations with each other. We've stopped talking to people and really digging into what it is they're working on or they're struggling with. And one of the ways we can do this is to get back in touch with them, to reach out. And you can still use technology. You can use a messaging app. You can use texting. You can say, hey, I thought of you and I was wondering what was going on with you. I'd really love to catch up. Now, this can work for old friends and it also works for old networking connections. And when I say that, I mean colleagues that you worked with before. People that you know from your professional life or your social life or your community life, meaning maybe you volunteered at an organization many years before and you met some people and just kind of lost touch with them. Those people are your network. I always tell people, start with who you know when you're networking, because people say to me, I don't know where to start. I don't know who to contact with. I don't want to cold call people. Great, don't. Start with the people you already know. Make sure you are going back to the network you have and you're connecting with them and reaching out to them. So why does this all tie into this research? Well, it was fascinating to me because number one, you all know you have people you've lost touch with and you could connect with. And this study backed it up. People were asked, do you have people you could connect with? Are there people you could get back in touch with? And they all said, yes. And then 1 out of 3 of them said, I know this, but I'm still not going to reach out to them for whatever reason. The excuse is I don't have time. Really, it's people feel like they're going to be awkward. Like they're going to reach out to somebody and somebody's going to be like, I haven't talked to you in 20 years. Why are you reaching out to me? Or I haven't talked to you in 5 years. Why are you reaching out to me? Think about it this way. If the situation was reversed and you were the person who was getting a text from some friend of yours you hadn't talked to in 5 years that said, hey, you crossed my mind and I was wondering how you were doing. What's new? Would love to connect. Would you be upset? Or would you be happy? Would you be relieved? Would you be like, oh my God, thank God that person reached out to me. I knew I needed to get in touch with them. I'm so glad they made the effort and I'm so happy and I'm so excited to talk to them. You probably would. Most people would. You're mostly, I mean, assuming you like the person and you'd really like to have the relationship again, you're excited about it and you're ready to talk to them. So if you're the one who's reaching out, think about that from that perspective, that this person is probably going to be happy to hear from you. And it doesn't matter how long it's been. So again, going back to the research, people thought these things like, yes, this person would love to hear from me, and they still didn't do it. So why? And what can you do about that? Because these people are really your path to growing your network. Starting with your dormant ties, your connections you've lost touch with, that's where you start. And then you talk to them. And then once you talk to them, you tell them what you're doing, and they connect you with new people, and your network grows. That's how this works, right? So if you're thinking to me, Greg, I don't want to start with the network I have. I know those people. I need to add new people. You're going to add new people by getting introduced by the people you already know. That's how you know most of the people in your life. Either through you went to school with them, or you worked with them, or you were in an organization with them. They live in your neighborhood. You already know those people. But the second way you meet people is by getting an introduction from the people you already know. And the third way is random strangers, but most of us don't really have random strangers in our network. There's not very many people in our life that started out as random strangers. So going back to the research, I keep going back to this because the fact that it was studied is amazing to me. But what they found is with these people who knew they needed to reach out to people but didn't want to, they gave them a tactic which they found actually works. So you probably have a group of people in your life that you text or you email very frequently. And maybe it's your family, maybe it's your really close friends. Those people you have no problem reaching out to because you've been talking to them recently. What I'm talking about is the people who maybe you worked with 5 or 10 years ago, or who you were in some sort of religious organization with a few years ago, or somebody who used to live in your neighborhood that maybe moved away. And you're thinking to yourself, I really need to reach out to that person. It would be a great conversation. It would be great to rekindle that relationship. What you can do, and what they found in this research, is if you start by warming up, it's sort of like working out, right? You don't ever want to skip the warm up. You want to get in there and warm up. If you send a text to a close friend or family member who you would normally text with and who there's no obstacle to getting in touch with, if you send a text or a message to one of those people or a couple of those people, it will warm you up. And once you send it, you will feel like that was easy. That was great. I love the feeling of sending that message, that text to that person. Once you've done that, you are 66% more likely, according to the research, to then want to reach out to one of these dormant ties or connections. So you use the people you talk to every day as a warm-up. And so you sit down with your phone or at your computer with your email, and you send an email or you send a text to somebody you know really well that's really easy, that it's no problem to say, hey, how are you doing? Or, hey, what's going on? Or you go back to the last text and answer whatever question they asked you. Or you say, hey, just thinking about you. You do that with somebody you know really well. You get warmed up. You feel good about it. You get past that obstacle. And then you move on to somebody who you haven't talked to in a few years. And you send them the same sort of text. Warming up is going to help you get past that obstacle or that resistance of, oh, should I send it? Should I not send it? How are they going to take it? How are they going to feel about it? You get past all those mental obstacles, and then you actually send that note to this connection. Now, how do you know who to do that with? Well, this is one of the things I talk about in my courses, I talk about in my book, is sitting down and coming up with a list of your dormant ties. And these are people who you've worked with, who you know, who would know your name if you sent them a message, would know who you are, and would most likely be really excited to hear from you. So you go and just make a list of 10 of those. And some of the ways you can do that are, you can go through your resume, you can go through your LinkedIn profile, look at all the places you worked, and think about when you worked there, who were the people that you interacted with on a day-to-day basis? Who are the people that you had relationships with at work, professional relationships with at work? And go through and write down a list of those people's names and try to figure out, hey, do I have their email? Do I have their phone number? Can I just send them a note on LinkedIn? And have that list. And so after you've warmed up yourself and you're ready to send this message, then go through and start at the top of the list. And if you just do one person a day, great. One person is a great thing to do. It's one message you send. It will take you less than 15 minutes. And there you are. You're starting to network. You're jump starting your network. You're getting it going. You're warming it up. You're setting up yourself to have conversations with people down the road. And so once you start doing that, you're going to start having these conversations. You're going to start meeting new people. Your network's going to grow. But it all comes from that first message you send. And if you're hesitant to send it because you think it's not going to land with them, or you're worried what they're going to think, or you think they're going to be put out because you sent them a note, remember a couple things. Number one, if you received the message, you'd probably be happy to get it. So if you send the message, that person's probably going to be happy to get it. Number two, if you need something a little bit more concrete, look at this research, warm up. It says send a note to somebody you know really well, get yourself warmed up, and then you'll be more willing to send it to the person who maybe you haven't talked to in a while. So send that to them and then see where the conversation goes from there. So hopefully that helps. I hope this gives you some ideas or some ways to get past your barriers of not wanting to send these messages to your dormant ties. And if you're looking for more information, you subscribe to the newsletter, follow the podcast, follow the videos. I'm here to help you. I got plenty of resources. Let me know what you're struggling with so I can help address it in one of these videos. But this week, go out, meet some interesting people, and remember, always be connecting.